My relationships with my children is just wonderful. I mean, I worried them sick for 9 years, and it's very humbling, to be honest. It's very humbling when they think they really respect you, um, for getting off that, for getting off that stuff.
Brendan, how did you find Carnivore?
Um, through a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, as I think a lot of us carnivores have arrived at this point. But mine was a bit unusual in that it actually came about through desperation, following a long and arduous 9-year methamphetamine addiction. And when I got out of rehab 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, I was terrified of relapse, and I was desperately looking for ways to buttress my recovery and not slide back into it. And that was a real risk because a lot of people don't make it first time, especially. So I I thought back to what worked for me in Gunnerbah, and the first thing was exercise. We did a lot of boxing and gym work, and just we used to go on long walks around the bush and whatnot. And so I got back into the gym, which was great, and the food was very good in there. They had a wonderful chef. This is Gunnerbah in northern New South Wales, and Murwillumbah there. It's a wonderful place, and food, and then sleep, because I'd slept about one night in four for basically 7 or 8 years, um, and survived on Mars bars and chocolate milk most of that time. I was a physical and emotional wreck. I think I was going to lose my sanity if I'd gone on much longer. So I really did jump in there at just the right time, and it was good. It was great. And then I thought back, what else was there? And they had a sauna. And we used to go for a workout, have a sauna, a swim, a sauna, and all this sort of thing. It was really good. So I started looking at saunaing in YouTube videos, and that led on to cold plunging. So I got myself a cold plunger. So I'd plunge in the water. I love it. So I bought a deep freeze and fill it with water. It's 1 degree. It's full of ice, and I hop into that every morning when I wake up, and then I go to the gym and I come back and do my work, and then I have a sauna in the evenings, and it's lovely. And I think the algorithm, bless its heart, um, started throwing diet stuff at me, and one of those was Carnivore, and I think it was Ken Berry or Sean Baker, and I paid attention to those guys, but it was anecdotal, and I wasn't suspicious of them. I believed them, but I just was not couldn't imagine us eating steaks and nothing but. And then I saw Paul Mason, if you know him, Low Carb Down Under, and he came through with the science on cholesterol, and and it blew me away, his knowledge and the reality. It really hit home at that point. So I said, I've always loved steaks and then never loved vegetables. And so I said, this might suit me. Yeah. So off I went. Off I went with a lot of dedication and a lot of what do you call it? Discipline. And I found that it wasn't hard to be disciplined at all. It was like I felt like I was eating what I was meant to be eating, and it wasn't without its transition period. I will say that. I didn't get diarrhea or any of these other things that carnivores, you know, report, but I did feel tired in the afternoons, and possibly in hindsight, that was not enough salt. But look, from where I was coming from, physically, mentally, emotionally, and all the rest of it, I was really on the edge, and I think I would have been tired no matter what. So I think it was that and the whole situation in one, and it was exhausting. I was exhausted and all the rest of it. So I was healing, I think. So I'll give myself a pass in that regard. But I just I had joint pain before, and been to a doctor, and she said, "Welcome to old age." That was the doctor's response. Welcome to old age. That's just what you're going to get. And literally within a month, that went away. I used to get the red scaly patches around the skin, around my nose here in the skin. And that went away. Um, I just started to strip weight off me. And I was doing what Ken Berry says and eating till I'm comfortably stuffed. So I was never hungry, but the weight stripped off. My performance in the gym without carbs was flat for a little while. And I had to persist in there. I was slightly disappointed at the beginning, but it took 6 months to transition to getting my pop back in the gym. But once I did get there, it's never been better. I'm strong. I'm getting stronger all the time and putting on decent size. Um, I'm totally natural. I will say that I'm 60 years of age and I'm totally natural. No exogenous hormones whatsoever. No TRT. Nothing like that. And I put that down to getting enough fat, and not eating seed oils and not eating sugar. I think you can repair your hormones quite easily without the expense and the pseudoscience or whatever you may call it of HRT. I think that's just another pharmaceutical that we should stay clear of. Eat carnivore for a year, and then if you're still low in test, go to your doctor and do it. But look, I think my test would have been rock bottom from 9 years of not sleeping, eating Mars bars, and Mars bars and chocolate milk was my diet. Sleeping one night out of four, um, pumping $600 of meth into me a day through the pipe. Yeah, it was after COVID hit, my habit really went to those levels. Um, I was lucky that I had quite a decent business, and I could afford to support that kind of use without crime, which is the downfall of most methamphetamine addicts. They have to turn to crime to support the levels that they're using. I didn't have that problem, but my business was certainly stripping the money out of that. So, um, but that's what you do. That's what I did. So I don't regret it. I lived that life, and things are better now. Mm.
The recovery and then finding carnivore and then the subsequent extra recovery is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well, I haven't only recovered. I think I'm better than I was before. I've suffered depression and anxiety and my whole life. And really, I was on antidepressants for 10 years before I hit the meth. And that made me, I think, quite vulnerable to that particular drug. I think I also had a bit of ADHD there. And I will say that the carnivore zen is real. It's real. My emotional state is steady, um, generally positive, cope with stress quite well, calm, kind, compassionate. Giving myself a bit of a rap here, but I think it's true. Um, my relationships with my children is just wonderful. I mean, I worried them sick for 9 years, and it's very humbling, to be honest. It's very humbling when they think they really respect you, um, for getting off that, stuff. When many fail, and I got off first time, which is unusual. I will say that it's not easy to get off these things, and I just feel sorry for the people who've got alcohol problems because there's not a meth bar in shopping centres. There's not a meth takeaway shop in the street, so I don't have that rubbed in my face every day of my life. And I've got it. I could put it in the rear vision mirror. I could get some if I wanted some, but I don't have any urge or need or want or desire to go anywhere near any of that thing anymore. And carnivore's played a big part in that. I mean, I feel so good I feel better than I did at 30. Um, and that's in the relationships with my children and my wife is I wouldn't be at this level if it wasn't for carnivore. I know that's true. If I was pumping seed oil, sugar, and ultra processed food into me every day, my overall outlook on life would not be as good. My overall health wouldn't be as good. My energy wouldn't be as good, and all those things lead back into addiction. Because you only take drugs when you're unhappy. Really, I was medicating my emotional pain away. And I don't feel emotional pain anymore. I don't feel tired anymore. If my energy levels are high throughout the day, I sleep well. Got my little sleep monitor here, and I check my numbers in the morning when I wake up. And life's too good. I don't need that stuff, and I'm just enjoying every minute of it, and I'm grateful. And in no small part to my diet.
So, can I just confirm, how long has it been that you've been carnivore now?
It's been over 2 years, Dave. I've and quite strict in that time as well. I would say that once a month I might vary and have a moment of weakness that I probably shouldn't, and I do feel it a little bit, mainly in the mood, in the areas of mood. I think I'm quite vulnerable to that part of it, the emotional side of things. But physically, I don't react strongly. Um, but emotionally, certainly, I do slip down and feel a bit down sometimes after I have something like a pie or such things as that. But they're good. They're good. So I have one maybe once a month or something like that. Yeah.
Right, right. And so day to day, how are you eating?
Um, I eat as much as I want, and that can vary from one to 3 or 4 meals a day. It varies really just with my activity levels and how hard I'm going in the gym, which is generally pretty hard. I enjoy the challenge of that and the improvement of that. So when I'm going really hard, I find that my body just tells me to eat. But if I don't need it, I just don't get hungry. And it's really quite simplistic. I eat when I'm hungry and I eat till I'm full. And that is how I do it. And my body weight has gone down from even as scrawny and as weak as I was addicted to, while I was in the middle of my addiction to meth. I still weighed 84 kilos. Um, and I'm, so much healthier and stronger now. And I've got less body weight, but I'm down to 76 and I'm hovering in the 76 range. I wouldn't mind a little bit less than that, but I've got a hint of abs, and I think I'm on a very natural body weight, and certainly not overweight um, for my size. So it's the easiest diet. I'm never hungry. Just feel, and I eat till I'm full, and then I wait till I'm hungry again. It's quite amazing in actual fact. It really is.
It's discovering this, when you're in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s. It's like,
Mm.
why didn't we know this earlier? It's just so simple, and you just don't have to eat.
That's what gets me about this diet is that if my mother was a carnivore and and raised me as a carnivore from a child to now, or people generally, we would be superhumans. And I think there would be so much less suffering in the world. I think the world would be a different place right now. Obviously, really, if people were healthier and happier. And there's no doubt in my mind they would be if there was more people aware of the truth of nutrition. And look, I'll go into a shopping centre or something, and it makes me angry at the system. It makes me angry at the government, and in some ways that they've allowed the state people to get into the state that they're in, and for the food industry to have such control over policy and the food in schools and the advertising on TV for garbage and you know, your health is the only thing that really matters at the end of the day, broadly speaking. But and they've allowed us to be so misled, and doctors seem to not have any clue what they're talking about, which is very frustrating. I've given up going to doctors. I no longer go. If I broke my arm or my leg, yeah, I think the emergency services is excellent. But many doctors, I won't say all, but many doctors have not a clue when it comes to nutrition. They treat symptoms, they don't treat causes. And most causes of most diseases come back to diet. There's no doubt in my mind. I've lived the experience, and diet can fix 90 odd percent of all the ailments that's afflicting people at the moment. And it's quite sad. It really is quite sad that we're in this state.
Yeah. You reminded me of something there when you're talking about the food industry. You remember growing up in Australia, it might still be on. There was an ad, Aussie kids are Wheat Bix kids.
Yep. I've thought about that several times in my life, actually.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
need to add a new chorus to that, and that's the problem.
And that's that's the problem. I mean, wheat, my God, what are you doing even going near that stuff? In all honesty, it's so irritating and bad for us. I mean, it's survival food at best, and not something that should be eaten on a regular basis by any means. But we know where all that came from with the Seventh Day Adventists and whatnot, being vegetarians and funding research into what's healthy, and bacon and eggs went out the window and wheat bix came in. So that was a major disaster right there waiting to happen.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's look at a wheat bix. What is what is that? That's just it's horse food. Is what it is, and ruminant animal food maybe. But yeah, not
Yeah.
not not human being food. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, how's your family? I mean, they're obviously happy for you having gone through rehab, and they must be feeling so good about that. How are they
Mm.
feeling about your eating?
They've joined me. Two out of three have joined me. I've got four children, three of my own and one stepdaughter, and a granddaughter now. And my two sons are very similar to me. Um, they don't drink alcohol. They don't take much in the way of drugs, certainly not regularly at all. One never, one a bit wild, but and they are carnivore pretty much, not as strict as me, but certainly they're aware of the whole spectrum of where we should be eating, and they're pretty compliant as far as early 20s can be. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that. I mean, I gave up alcohol 23 years ago. I was a very heavy drinker from age 14 through to 36. I was probably borderline dependent on it. And I went through some, I got into a drunken brawl in a pub one night, and this is years ago, and bounced off the, lost my job over that, and realised that it was controlling my life. Been through the ringer a couple of times, and so I haven't drank in 25. My kids have never seen me drink, and they did drink a little bit at the beginning, but as they've grown older and they've sort of taken notice, especially with my addiction, they've realised that things can get away on you, so they've dropped that off, and they're going very well. And I'm happy to say that they're just aware of the situation that's out there, and they're taking measures to counteract it, which I'm very proud of. My two daughters are pretty good, but not really on board with it as yet. But I'm working on them because they could benefit from it in a huge way. And my wife's got no interest in it at all. She's Indonesian, and she just loves, everything over there's cooked in seed oil, and she says the dishes don't taste the same unless it's cooked in palm oil or something. So that's a work in progress, that one. But I don't like my chances really. But look, she does her, and I do me, and we'll see how we go with that.
For a lot of people, they end up being on their own doing it, you know. So it, especially at
Yeah,
the beginning, it can be quite isolating, right?
yeah. I mean, I think they think my daughters think I'm a bit weird. They think it's nuts. But then again, uh, not boasting here at all, but they look at their friends' fathers who are eating a standard Australian diet, and then they compare it to me. And with all due humility, there is a lot of difference. And I think that's working away on them, and as they mature, because they're the youngest. My stepdaughter's only 18, 19, so she's got more on her mind than diet. Um, she's out there doing things, and as she settles, I think she'll start to value her health more, and I think they'll come around. Certainly, I think the influence will be long term in there. But what I'm very happy about is my granddaughter who's at 9 months old, and I think she's going to be raised the right way. My eldest son and his wife are pretty aware of the whole situation of the world at the moment as far as medicine, nutrition, and all the rest of it goes. So they're raising their daughter their way, and I think it's going to be a pretty good way. And I'm very very grateful for that.
That's awesome. Um,
It
so
is.
yeah, just when we're talking about things like addiction, do you feel like on carnivore you have more self-control, more resolve than you would if you were eating like a regular kind of diet?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt because I don't think anyone who feels good is an addict. Whether it's trauma or emotional pain or even physical pain. Um, there's not many addicts who don't have a fair dose of that in them. And when you get beyond that and you start to feel healthy physically and emotionally, you realize what you could lose. And you realize that well, I know where if I went and picked up the pipe once, I'd be back where I was within a week, a day. Um, and I've got the monkey on the back is very persistent. So I value so much the health that carnivore, how it's healed me, and it really has been a major part in healing me mentally and physically. But that has then helped heal my relationships with the people I love and care about. And how could I sacrifice the future, the future relationship with my children and wife and my health and my mental health and all? How could I swap that for a pipe again? Um, it's just ludicrous to me, and I couldn't. And feeling this good is due largely in part to my diet. So short answer to that is yes. Carnivore has given me, neuroplasticity. I think it's helped heal my brain because I smashed it for 9 years. I mean, I had my floor pedal to the floor for 9 years and never slept and ate garbage. And I was losing my sanity towards the end. There's no doubt about that. I was imagining things and seeing things, and sleep deprivation, sure, but just general over serotonin, if that's the word, overload. And um, it's just ludicrous to me to put, because now I want a pure natural diet, and there's nothing pure and natural about methamphetamine. So seed oils are horrible to me. Imagine how I think about putting meth into me now. Sugars, sugar's an addiction. There's no doubt about that. And it's just the opposite of how I'm feeling about what I want to do in my life now. And it's a substantial part of it. There's no doubt about it. And possibly 60, 70, 80%. I wouldn't put a figure on it really, but a massive part in my outlook on life now, which just excludes the thought of putting poison in my body anymore. And it's all bundled up in that very nicely. So, yeah, it can heal your addiction. There's no doubt about it.
There's someone out there that's struggling
Mm.
with addiction or struggling to get started with carnivore. What advice would you give them?
Um, if they're Queensland or New South Wales, go to Gunnerbah. There's not many good addiction centres out there, really. Um, Most of them are just money-making machines. They put you through like sausages. Gunnerbah's got a heart and soul. They genuinely care, and the staff there are pretty amazing. Call Warwick. Um, but face reality. If you can't stop drinking, or you can't put the pipe down for a month at any stage of your life, then you're an addict. If you can't not drink, and don't fool yourself, oh, I could if I wanted to, but I just don't want to. If at any stage you just can't stop drinking for a month without it being a problem, then you've got a problem. So I would start to think seriously about taking concrete steps to rectifying that, because it's just going to get worse. And don't wait don't wait till you're on the edge of disaster like I was before you get there. And unfortunately, that's what it takes. That's what it takes for people to go to a rehab. Is it takes something terrible happening before they end up going in, and it really is sometimes too late. Go in early. Just do it for the experience. It was a positive, wonderful experience for me, and it was transformative. And it's actually one of the best times of my life, if I'm perfectly honest. No one's got an ego in there. Everyone feels like an idiot. Everyone's ashamed of themselves, and that allows a lot of room for openness, honesty, vulnerability, and a lot of other good things in this world. And I made some friends that are still in there, that are still to this day keep in contact with, and it was just a great experience, and it saved me from absolute disaster, whether it's homelessness, jail, or death. I think, to be frank. Um, and if you're hesitant about starting carnivore, give yourself a time frame. Just say, I'm going to do it for 30 days, and don't judge it harshly. It's the first time you're on it is probably the hardest part while you transition. Eat plenty of salt, drink plenty of water, get active, get out there, and add a little bit of exercise to it, whether it's walking or whatever you can manage. Get out in the sunshine early in the morning. Um, get out and ground your feet in the morning sun. Um, go into nature a little bit more. Just change, not just change your diet, but maybe change what you do. Put down the phone more. Don't watch YouTube as much. Read a book instead. Just change a lot of little things about your life and your diet, and just see how you go. Because guarantee, I guarantee 100% that if you make it through, um, your life will be better. You will feel better, look better, function better. The aches and pains will go away. Your mental clarity will return. Your peace of mind, your emotional and physical state will just plainly improve. And there's not a doubt in my mind. If you're putting garbage into your body on a 3 or 4 times a day, you don't stand a chance. You really don't. I mean, I'm 60, and I honestly feel, I think Anthony Chaffee said this, that we should be living to 120, going by telomeres or something like that. I only feel like I'm half worn out. I feel I'm only half, honestly, I feel that I'm only halfway through my life. Um, Barring acts of God or whatnot, honestly, my health is now is as good as it's ever been, um, at any stage of my life, bar being in my early 20s possibly. But honestly, I feel like I'm definitely aiming for 100, and longer and healthy, and I believe you can be that age and healthy and fit. I honestly believe that you could hit 100 and be an active, happy, fulfilled person. And if all my kids are on board with this as well, then they're going to be, healthy and active at 80 while I'm 100. That sort of story, which is a pretty cheery picture. And I do believe that you owe your kids to be happy and happy at least in old age, because you've got to show them that there's some light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's the responsibility of us adults, is to be not be a grumpy old bugger. There's old dad over there getting angry, at every single thing, but to be a healthy, happy, active kind of older person and show them that life's good no matter what age you are. Yeah, kind of depressing to think, oh God, I'm going to be a bloody grumpy old stick like that when you get a bit older. So, yeah,
See, and that's the thing with this way of eating. Getting to 100 doesn't mean just getting to that milestone and being
no,
in a wheelchair and being fed through a tube and all that kind of thing.
oh,
It means being active,
no.
right?
Yeah, I think it's 100% doable. I mean, God, I go back to it again. The physical state I was in just 4 years ago, if I can come from that to where I am now, then imagine what 10, 15, 20, 30 years of eating like this is going to do for the human body. It's going to be completely renewed with what we really need. And the human body is remarkably recuperative, no matter what you what you do to it, to a point. But if you don't get in your own way, I mean, it, it could be quite amazing how well we could live and how long we could live well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the future very much, and I'm enthusiastic about it, and let me at it. I'm keen to get on with it. I've made all this dumb stuff in the past, with the alcohol and the drugs and that, and so I've finally learned something at age 60, what not to do, and better late than never, but I've done it, and I'm happy about that. And I won't be doing that again anytime soon. So I'm looking forward to what's coming. Grandchildren, and financial rewards from business, which is going very well, and helping my kids get going. With along the way. It just
Nice.
seems fun to me, mate.
Nice. So, Brendan, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any social media or anything?
I don't have Facebook actually. I can start up my account again. It's just Brendan Wayman, I think. Whayman. they wanted to have a chat about anything that they're suffering, going through as far as addiction or whatnot, I'm always happy to help or give back. Or if it's about carnivore, by all means, track me down on Facebook, and be happy to help in any way I can. I would love everyone to hop on board with this, because it's just,
Mm.
as I said, going to a shopping centre just makes me feel sad. It really does.
And all the people that you see in the shopping center when they go and buy their groceries and stuff, they think they're doing the right thing, right? They're buying
Oh
the low
yeah,
fat, so they think, well, I've been told that's the right thing, so at some point it's going to happen for me. At some point, I'm going to lose the weight and get healthy.
yeah. Well, you got the smarter white milk, where they take out all the milk, all the butter out of it, and they replace that with vegetable oil, seed oils. Well, that's very smart. That stuff. I mean, low fat is. I used to buy low fat. I used to buy smarter white milk, and it makes me cringe now. And um, it's the benefits is so. I mean, my sun tolerance has gone through the roof. I can actually, you know, not burn these days as easily. It's quite incredible how, if your skin's made of better stuff, it can handle the sun better. And I love the sun. I think it's God's eye or something. I think it's not our enemy if we eat the proper food. I think a bit of sun is actually a necessity in life, and if you're on the right diet, it is your friend to a point. And I've haven't needed 2 years would have proved to me if I was deficient in anything. And the only supplements I do take is iodine and selenium, which goes with that, because Australia is very deficient in iodine. And so I just take a couple of squirts of Lugol's every morning with my salty water that I drink in the morning, following which is the Hubman protocol of the salty water in the morning first thing, and I put it in that and drink that, and then I hop in the cold plunger, and I'm off. I'm set for the day.
Well, Brendan, I'll link to your Facebook below.
Mm.
Thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time and really happy to know how well you're doing. Thank you so much.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks very much, Dave.